So you can take things to a crazy extreme and go after everything trying to fulfill yourself and spending money in all these ways that are giving you these pleasures and these, and all this hedonistic stuff. But where you're really going to find the happiness is when you have an incredible internal state of happiness and you use money as a tool, not to be able to get all these insane temporary pleasures, but you want to set your life up to reflect what's going on inside of you and magnify that and make it bigger and make it so that you already have this state of love and joy and happiness in your life, and money is going to be able to expand that into others' lives and make everything just on a grander scale, a magnification of who you are inside and reflecting that to other people and putting that happiness on a larger scale so you can produce and share it with the world. Hey everyone, it's Ryan with Legendary, and today I want to talk about, does money equal happiness? So the answer, of course, is a resounding no. Heck no. Money does not equal happiness. However, it is an incredible tool, right? So money, here's what it can do for you. Money is, it's a potential, and a measure of value for goods and services. And when you have a lot of money, you have a potential to make things happen, to acquire things, to have people do things for you, to, trade that value, that representation of value for things that are just as valuable. And so money is just this tool that, first of all, it's incredible for being able to meet your basic needs of survival. So you're probably not going to be that happy, depending on your internal state, if you don't have a whole bunch of basic things that you need for survival. So money can very easily, if you have some of it, can help you meet those basic needs for survival and for humans to be able to feel at a base level that their basic needs are met, right? So it also still depends on, this is really deep, it still also depends on your internal state and spiritually if you're in a good place. Because Jesus, for example, went out into the wilderness for 40 days and, he was Jesus, he was probably doing great, he was probably fulfilled in his relationship with the Father and things like that. So money is just a tool. When you get to that first level of having those basic needs met, then it kind of goes from there. But so the first thing is, money allows you to have those basic needs met. So that's obviously a great thing, and everyone wants to have their basic needs met, absolutely. So you're probably going to be unhappy, and you're going to be happier when you have all your basic needs met. But then, as we all know, United States of America is a pretty wealthy country, and there's a vast majority of people who aren't living in poverty as we would normally think about it, where you can't get all your basic needs met. And so in America, there are so many people that have all their basic needs met, but aren't necessarily super happy. And so if you were to ask all these people if they're as happy as they've ever been, and if they are completely 100% fulfilled and happy, there's going to be tons of people who say, no, not necessarily. And so just having all of your basic needs met isn't happiness necessarily. It goes beyond that. It's like the pyramid of, Abraham Maslow's, whatever, the pyramid of the different needs and all that, and it gets to a level of self-realization and fulfillment in greater things, right? So the basic needs, that's great. If you have a certain view of money, you might think it's a really low level of thinking, but you might think to yourself, oh, materialistic things and pleasures and all that, and getting this Lamborghini, getting this mansion, whatever, that's happiness. Okay, so let's just put them on here. So let's say some awesome Lamborghini, like an Aventador or something like that. Alright, so I think a lot of us would agree that that's a super awesome combo. That's super cool. Aventadors look super awesome. If you got some really pretty modern mansion or whatever, it would just be totally breathtaking and gorgeous. If you haven't ever sat in an Aventador, if you haven't ever been in an amazing mansion, and you have enough money to go and get those different things, you have enough money to own an Aventador that's paid off and a mansion that's paid off, that is going to be incredible. And I'd say that's probably going to feel incredible for like minimum 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. You're exploring all the features, everything is new, you are going all around in this mansion, you're seeing all the things you can do. You're finding places to drive super fast in the Aventador. You are having people over to the mansion and people think you're cool and whatever, and you post a couple pictures and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. So you might have like a certain level of fulfillment for like a whole month or something. And then after that month, so the thing is, the big important point is that you have these things, but you always have to be acting upon your situation and putting your essence and who you are into everything. And if you didn't have a base level of fulfillment and happiness when you didn't have these things, then you are just an unhappy person that is sitting in a Lamborghini Aventador, or an unhappy person that is sitting in a mansion. And you'll find that all around me is just walls, and it might be gold. You might have some gold things or whatever, and the most gorgeous countertops and the most amazing features. And you say to yourself, I'm here, I'm just who I was a year ago, whatever, who was kind of unhappy and unfulfilled and couldn't find happiness where I was, and I'm surrounded by walls and the color gold and this countertop that's, yeah, it's pretty, but like, what is happening in my life? And I'm sitting in this Lamborghini that, oh wow, it's really nice in here, it feels cool, I step outside of it, yeah, it looks really gorgeous and all that. But if you never had an internal state of happiness and joy and understanding of what you're doing here and why you're here, you're just surrounded by these materials that are more expensive. And yeah, it's cool, and it's probably better, right, than just having your basic needs met, and that's really awesome, but it's all about who you are in each situation. Let's say you're living in some really small town. Let's say you lived in a super small town, it's kind of boring, it's like, let's just say there's like, you know, plains and stretches of grass and stretches of field, and maybe you're on a farm or whatever, there's no mountains, there's no beach nearby, there's nothing that's really incredible to look at necessarily, and you live in that small town. And then you go to, let's say, somewhere with an incredible view, maybe Colorado or something. Colorado is really nice, has amazing views of mountains. Let's say it's just a trip. So you spend 2 weeks out in Colorado, and you go and you have that experience and you say, oh my gosh, it's totally breathtaking. Let's say you've been living there your whole life and you hadn't even seen mountains or anything like that. And you go to Colorado and you're like, wow, this is breathtaking, this is beautiful, this is amazing. And you say, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. But if you had been living in that small town and you said, I'm not finding like fulfillment in just who I am and in what I am, and I can't put fulfillment into situations by myself, I need to have it affected by where I am. You go on this trip and you go to Colorado and you say, okay, yeah, this is totally incredible, and I love these views, I love how these mountains look and all that. But eventually you have that same character of not being able to affect situations that you're in and make it super filled with joy and happy and incredible based on what you are internally. Then eventually this is going to wear out and you're going to say, yeah, I'm like around this amazing view and all that, but like what am I putting into this situation, and you know, what do I do with this? If you have all these issues, all these problems, and you're unfulfilled, you're not happy in this small town, and you go and you have these amazing views, you're still going to have it, and you're essentially just running away, and you get this pleasure of, you know, an amazing view and all that, which is wonderful. Okay, now, if you lived in this small town and internally you have a great foundation for your life and you are filled with joy, you're fulfilled, you're shining, you're whatever, you're super happy in this small town, you go to Colorado and you see this incredible view, you're already fulfilled, and it's just going to add that little bit more, that pleasure, and you're going to say, oh man, I'm so thankful for this opportunity to be able to come here. This is so amazing. But I don't need to be in Colorado with this amazing view on this amazing trip in order to retain this high. So that person who's doing really well goes to Colorado, they have a super incredible, amazing time. They go back to the small town and they're literally just as good. They're just as happy. They don't go down to a very low level. It might be a little bit different because you're on an amazing, incredible trip and you're back to routine, but you're still staying at this high that you naturally have internally. So the whole point is that you might just have your basic needs met. What you want to do is you want to create your character and create this internal state, not necessarily create, but you want to come to that place through, I believe it's through an understanding of a spiritual reality and knowing God and basing yourself on truth and understanding that you can become fulfilled in this spiritual reality and become fulfilled by love and joy and be filled up by those things when you're spending time alone with God, alone, in your times of meditating and all that. And you find fulfillment and you find strength and you find this internal state there when you're alone. That way, when you're in this small town, you're extremely happy. You're insanely happy because it's not necessarily based off of circumstances and environment. It's based off of who you are and what you can put into a situation. And then when you go here, you're insanely happy too. And you're like, oh, I'm so thankful. I was already happy. Now I go to Colorado with this incredible view and I'm just over the moon happy, right? And what I'm saying is that you need to have that here. You need to have that internal state of happiness and joy and love and all these things, the fruit of the Spirit, and knowing God and being incredibly strong and fulfilled in who you are and what you're putting into a situation. You need to have that here when you only have your basic things. Then, when you get to here, it's not like that is going to go away. It's just going to get better. You're like, I didn't even need any of this. I was completely fulfilled and happy. Maybe this isn't even like necessarily taking you to a higher level. You're like, I would be happier just in like maybe a little bit better of a house, different location. I don't need an Aventador and a mansion and all that. Sometimes these things have more problems, that they bring more problems with them than blessings and all that. And sometimes a simpler life is even better. But I'm just saying that money doesn't equal happiness. It'll give you greater pleasures, temporary pleasures, but if you want to have the most fulfillment, you need to focus on your internal state. Because you're that same internal state whether you're here, 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 or here. And then these things are just giving that temporary pleasure. So you can take things to a crazy extreme and go after everything trying to fulfill yourself and spending money in all these ways that are giving you these pleasures and these, and all this hedonistic stuff. But where you're really going to find the happiness is when you have an incredible internal state of happiness and you use money as a tool not to be able to get all these insane temporary pleasures, but you want to set your life up to reflect what's going on inside of you and magnify that and make it bigger and make it so that you already have this state of love and joy and happiness in your life. And money is going to be able to expand that into others' lives and make everything just on a grander scale, a magnification of who you are inside and reflecting that to other people and putting that happiness on a larger scale so you can produce and share it with the world. If you don't have yourself figured out internally, and you don't have that basis for who you are essentially empty inside. So then you're going to try to fill that with all these different pleasures, and you're going to try to look good. You're going to try to get validation from other people. You're going to try to get these materialistic things. You're going to pursue all these pleasures and be selfish. And it's never going to get inside of you what is around you and all these different pleasures. You have to find out this happiness and find this joy and this love inside of you, and then put it out to other people. And of course, there's a place for the blessings in our lives, like going to Colorado, like riding in an Aventador, or having an Aventador, or having a mansion, or things like that. And these are incredible pleasures, but they'll be more fulfilling when you aren't leaning on them. Because if you lean on these things and you say, all right, once I have that Aventador and that mansion, I'll be happy. If you put all your chips on being happy when you get there, if you find out that that doesn't give you happiness, then you are going to be depressed. And you are going to say, this is literally the max that I can take this thing. These are the most expensive things, and this isn't making me happy. And you're going to be depressed because you're going to say, I thought that was the happiness. I thought that's where happiness came from. And the whole time, these people could be happier than the people who have the Aventador and the mansion. They could be shining more in the sense that they are affecting people's lives more positively. They're smiling all the time. You might go to this small town and find tons of people who are happy all the time, who are smiling all the time, who just live on this farm because of who they are internally. And then you might go and see this person living in the mansion with their Aventador, and they're serious all the time. And they're nothing wrong with being serious, but they don't have enough time to smile, and they're like, okay, I gotta keep going. I gotta get a bigger mansion. That'll finally make me happy. And all the while, they have these things, but it's wasted on someone who isn't smiling every day, who isn't happy, who isn't enjoying every little thing. Versus the person here at the small town who maybe focuses on the internal state and focuses on their mindset, focuses on their understanding of the world, and says, all right, I don't need a private jet, I don't need an Aventador, I don't need a mansion, I don't need the most expensive suits, whatever, to be happy. I need to find it in myself. I need to, and not necessarily yourself, but you find it through the spiritual reality, through God, through relationship with Him, and you say, there is something more out there. There's something I can find through relationship with God that will inform my existence and inform what I'm doing here, what I'm supposed to be. And you become settled in that, and you say, I am so happy. I'm smiling every day. I'm walking around happy. I don't need these things. But then watch this. You use the money as a tool not to get happiness. That's not what's going to give you happiness, but to magnify who you are and to be able to give better situations in your life, to be able to live out who you are. And these pleasures and fulfillment are a plus, but this person is focused on, I'm fulfilled, I'm going to go produce in the world and shine who I am in the world, and I just need money as a tool to be able to affect more people and to be able to reflect who God has made me to be and all these different things and accomplish these different things or whatever. But they don't have that mindset of, let me get tons of money and these materialistic things will make me happy. Because it's never what's outside of you that's going to get in here and finally be enough to produce happiness. What you want to do is you want to be able to be just as happy walking out of your $5 million mansion and getting into your Aventador as you are living in a little apartment, being insanely happy just in who you are, walking out of your door and it's not the nicest place, but you find the most happiness in being able to affect someone or love people or just enjoy everything around you and being able to live. So that's how money does not equal happiness, but it's an incredible tool for being able to change people's lives and love and produce in the world. You want to be at a place where you are internally fulfilled And that just pours out of you because of the amount of happiness that's inside of you, and it comes out of you into other people's lives. And so in that case, you see how you're already fulfilled, and then you're producing in the world and you're affecting other people, and pleasures are incredible because you're already fulfilled, and then you just get more and you say, thank you, God, that I have this, and I'm not defined by it, and I'm not dependent on it. And so that is just, yeah, that's a little bit about how money doesn't equal happiness. So we never want to be at that level of thinking where we're saying, let me just get this materialistic thing. Because be honest with yourself, project yourself 10 years in the future with these things, and say to yourself, all right, I'm sitting in the Lamborghini, I'm in the mansion. Just like really imagine it and say, all right, yeah, I'm in there. Am I going to have a state of happiness? Is like what makes you happy about that is like you're focused on it, you're grateful for it. And so you need to have that internal state of gratefulness, of being grateful for those things. And if you don't have that, you're just going to be sitting there saying, I need this to keep acting upon me. I need the mansion and the Aventador to keep acting upon me and producing it in me. But they're just materials. It's just things. And they're not going to do that for you. So you need to dig deep, and you need to find God, and you need to find yourself in a relationship with Him, and you need to make this thing in yourself so that sitting in the Aventador or sitting in the mansion or being in that small town, you're still going to have a smile on your face, and you're still going to be incredibly happy and have the skills and the ability through your time spent thinking and focusing on the internal to be able to say, I can act upon this situation and make it insanely fun and make it insanely enjoyable. And so it's this kind of deeper level of thinking that's like, I need to act on the situation and know how to make this incredibly fun no matter where I'm at, and live in joy and happiness no matter what. So that's it, guys. That's my thoughts for does money equal happiness?